This is a 2019 Mercedes Benz GLA 250. They didn't make any real changes to the 2020 model. I'm going to give you my review in the form of 10 things you need to know, starting right now. So number 10, we're going to start by talking about the exterior. So this has not been updated in almost 5 years. This car was introduced in, I believe, 2015 as a new model. So the car still looks modern and updated. It's got a lot of the Mercedes styling cues, only shrunk down. They've started to move in a little bit different direction for some of their newer cars, but the exterior of this car still remains one of the better looking subcompact CUVs on the market. I think the tail in particular looks kind of squished. The front looks like a CLA, only raised up. And overall, the car really is just a lifted CLA. You get some ground clearance, a little bit more storage. It's not as sporty, but overall, the exterior looks sharp, even though it's aged and due for an update. All right, number 9, this is equipped with a couple options for lighting. So the first is the ambient lighting package. I believe it runs about $400. That package includes the ability to change the interior lighting. It looks real sharp at night. Additionally, it's got the Mercedes Benz symbol that lights up the ground. That's another option for the lighting package. That in itself is a cool thing, although I think a regular light would be more functional. It's kind of the Mercedes swag with the, throwing the symbol down on the ground. I don't particularly like it. Additionally, you can pay to have the side section right here where it says Mercedes Benz light up. And then you can also pay for the upgraded headlight LED kit. This does not have it. It still looks good, but that front LED lighting is expensive. So overall, this has a couple of the lighting options that you can get with Mercedes, but as with, you'll find as a theme with this vehicle, they don't come standard. All right, number 8, the back seat. So the back seat and rear hatch are, in my opinion, cramped. This is a small subcompact CUV. The room and the headroom, the side room, shoulder room, it's just not a place for a big person to sit for a long period of time. If you don't have kids and don't really have anybody riding back there, it's perfectly fine. But if you've got anyone in the back seat regularly who's not a toddler or younger, I would recommend going with at least, the GLC or something a little bit bigger, because there just isn't much leg room in the back seat. And as far as the trunk space, I found it to be adequate. It does have this built-in hatchback cover that allows you to keep things private, kind of like a trunk, and then you could take it off if you needed to load something a little bigger. Again, you're getting a little bit more utility than the CLA, but overall the back seat and rear storage are minimal and cramped. Number 7, the infotainment system. So the Mercedes infotainment system is not one of my favorites. One of the challenges really is that there's no touchscreen, although they are going to start offering it. It's not included in the 2020 update to this vehicle. I wish that it was. They're still doing the toggle with the back and forth menus. So if you want to switch from one thing to another, let's say an Apple CarPlay, you really got to rotate all the way across, then rotate back. And with the update to CarPlay, it no longer automatically launches what app you're using on your phone. That's a good thing if you are wanting to use a different app than what's displayed on there. The problem is with this one, it does not allow for you to go switch back right nice and easy. Number 6, let's talk about the options. So this has a few options I would recommend if you're considering this vehicle, but overall, this car does not come with a whole lot. And the reason for that is this is not only Mercedes' offering at this segment, but it's also the beginning, the early, entry-level Mercedes. And so they wanted to make it as inexpensive as possible to get people into the brand, to get them excited and interested in Mercedes before they may have otherwise been able to afford it. And so that they move from this to something like a GLC. They're moving up the SUV line as their family grows. So the first is the premium package that adds blind spot monitoring, which I definitely recommend. The B-pillar is right in the way of your face in this vehicle. It also comes with heated seats. The lighting packages, as I mentioned some of those earlier, I would recommend those. And then the multimedia package, which allows you to add Apple CarPlay, which I think is essential. So it's just an unfortunate truth with this vehicle. If you want some of those cool things like the ambient lighting, blind spot monitoring, Apple CarPlay, you're gonna have to pay to upgrade your options. Before I move on with the list, if you're new to my channel, consider checking out some of my other reviews. I'm just a normal guy. I do car, truck, and SUV reviews of the cars that I rent, borrow, and own. New reviews every Monday, and let's get back to the list. All right, number 5, the safety in this vehicle is on par with its competitors, the biggest two being the X1 and the Volvo XC40. Both of those are particularly well equipped with safety equipment. This model comes with the blind spot monitoring, which I mentioned, although that was an option, rear camera, parking sensors, and then it's got some crash avoidance option that, again, you're going to have to pay extra for. So overall, this vehicle has good safety available, but it's not included as standard. Number 4, the engine and miles per gallon. So this has a 208 horsepower turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It does 0 to 60 in 5.8. Compare that to the X1, which is over 6 seconds, like 6.2 or 6.3. And so this does drive fast. It does have a quicker 0 to 60 than most of its counterparts. It's equipped with a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. I found the transmission to be kind of clunky. It didn't seem to, especially in the early gears, it's almost like the transmission is passive aggressively being difficult because it's not in sport mode and it wants to be. I averaged 25.5 miles per gallon in this vehicle. I think that's pretty good, especially considering the performance. You get good miles per gallon and you can get closer to the 30s, especially on the highway if you don't drive it aggressively. Number 3, what is this vehicle like to drive? I would describe it as sport-ish. It's not sporty, it's spirited. The engine's high revving. It produces good power at the top of the power band. The transmission, as I mentioned, was clunky, but it does have a sporty feel. The steering feels pretty sporty. It's not too numb. You do get some body roll because the vehicle's lifted up. I have owned a CLA and I thought that it drove much sportier than this, but it sits a lot lower. And so it does have a good sporty feel, but you also don't get that cushy ride on some rougher roads. So it's kind of an interesting balance. It's definitely somewhere in the middle between a sports car and an SUV. So, you don't end up doing either one well. Overall, I do like the ride, but I would imagine some folks out there probably find it a little bit rigid. So overall, the ride quality is pretty good, not great. All right, number 2, I think that this Mercedes, again, being that it hasn't been updated in close to 5 years, the interior still looks really sharp. I love Mercedes interiors. I like the round dials. They have the old buttons up at the front. Those have been replaced with a lot of kind of a different instrument cluster as their standard. And that'll get updated in this vehicle, probably for the 2021 that will come out next year in 2020. But overall, the interior looks sharp. The faux leather seats are comfortable. If you get the upgraded packages, you'll get power seats in both sides. You have room. I wouldn't say you have plenty of room, but overall the design is stylish, even if it is a little bit outdated. And then the number 1 thing you need to know is the price. So this Mercedes starts at $34,250. If you add some of the exterior, the interior, the entertainment and convenience packages, performance and safety, those are all the categories as I discussed during the review. If you add in all those options, you end up at just under $42,000. That comes to a estimated lease price of $565,000. So most Mercedes nowadays, I think it's almost 50% end up as leases. So according to their calculator, you'd end up with about a $560 a month payment for this as equipped. The challenge I would give you is you can get it a lot lower than that, probably under $400 as equipped. That's my take. You're going to have to fight for it, and they're going to want you to stay up closer to that 500 amount. But if you stick to your guns, I think you can get into this vehicle for less than 400, maybe even into the 300s per month if you're leasing. Hey, if you got anything out of that review, click that like button. It's starting to get dark. I've got to hurry up, but I want to give you my 3 gripes. So the first one, I found the DCT combined with the front wheel drive to be not smooth, especially if you were turning and accelerating at the same time. You're going to get some torque steer a couple times. The wheels kind of gripped hard and really jerked the whole car. So I really wasn't impressed with the front wheel drive and the DCT kind of mixed with the engine's power delivery. Overall, not my favorite. Number 2, the infotainment system is annoying. It's not intuitive. You have to dig through so many menus. Not a big fan. And then number 3, the blind spot is significant. This pillar right here, it's called the B pillar, is just too big and it's too in the way. Where I set the seat up and I've kind of got it forward because I had someone in the back, it's right in my face level. So I'm not only do I have to turn my head, I have to lean all the way forward to look back. That's just too much of a blind spot for me. So my overall review, this is a sporty little compact CUV package. It has some things and features that I do like, but you have to pay for most of them. And so at the price point that you're paying, I would recommend going up a level or looking at something like the BMW X1 or the Volvo XC40, I believe is the same size. So overall, it's a good package. If you like Mercedes, you can't go wrong. So leave a comment if you've got one. Let me know what you think of it in the comments section. Again, thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of this video. We'll catch you next time.